Hello, I'm Sarah Manasra,
And I'm Virginal Rash, and this is Clarinet and Community.
a video series dedicated to clarinet, community, and belonging.
Welcome. Bienvenidos.
Hi, clarinetists. I'm so excited to introduce the first guest of our new series, Clarinet and Community. This interview with TC was deeply moving and it heavily features conversation about building positive spaces. However, in order to discuss positive spaces and what it takes to build them, we did have to explore some negative spaces. So, just a quick warning, this interview contains material related to illness, discrimination, foster family systems, sexism, and racism.
When reflecting upon the work of TC and his beautiful clarinet academy, the Clare Garden, and his online platform, N.I.C.E, I'm heartened to hear how he's able to share his love of clarinet and music with communities across his area and globally, and how his love is so infectious. I'm sure that when you hear this interview, you'll find the same joy.
So, thank you so much for joining me, TC. I'm really excited to speak with you today.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So, the main goal of today is I want to talk a lot about the communities that you build. But before we get into that, I wanted to kind of give you space to tell us just a little bit about yourself and your journey with clarinet and kind of what you do right now.
Ooh. Okay. My name is Trayon Chauncey Hall. I'm a native of Atlanta, Georgia, and a graduate of Southwest DeKalb High School. The world famous Southwest DeKalb High School Mighty Marching Panther Band, the only high school to ever perform in the opening ceremonies of the Centennial Olympic Games for an audience of 5 billion. That was a lot of fun. But I started on the saxophone first as a woodwind. Actually, my story goes deeper than that. I started on piano and probably like first and second grade. My dad bought us, me and my brother, a keyboard. And then I went to cello in the sixth grade, and that was too hard. I love the way that it sounded, but it was like negative, this is too hard. Um, and in the eighth grade, I picked up the saxophone. And no slight to the saxophone players, it was too easy. I hammered it in the first year, like learned all my skills and full sound. I went to beginning band to sit in first chair in the top concert band and moved to the symphonic band at my school. But my brother, my younger brother, 2 years younger than me, asked my mom for a B flat clarinet. He wanted to play clarinet in band. And he begged her to get this clarinet. And when she wasn't getting him fast enough for him, he threw a complete hissy fit, total fit. And she felt bad and got him the clarinet. And once she got him the clarinet, he never practiced. He never practiced and didn't do anything with it. And I remember my mom looking at my mom's eyes and her feelings being hurt that she got this boy this clarinet and he did nothing with it. So I said, let me learn how to play the clarinet. And I remember the first time I played it, something about it just felt right. It was a connection. It just felt right. And there was stigmas with boys playing clarinet. It's a girl instrument. I was like, I don't care. It feels right. So I just stuck with it. And all Hades broke loose when there was a girl in the band who said first chair in the symphonic band. And she was in an ensemble called the DeKalb Symphony. And one of the members of the group N.I.C.E, her name was Agatha Walczak. She was like the greatest clarinet player in the state of Georgia, phenomenal clarinetist. She had this Dame RC clarinet with articulated G sharp and the low E flat and all these keys, and it just was a gorgeous horn. Everybody used to talk about this girl. She's amazing, but she's so rude and this and that and the third. And all it did was, at this point, I'm enamored because I've heard all these horrible things. In my experience, I'm like, well, typically when people talk about a person really bad, they're really awesome. And then people talk about me like that. I want to get to know her. So I went to one of the concerts and got to hear her perform. And this might sound cheesy. It's like there was a starlight just floating around her. I saw no one on the stage but her. It was just this light. And I thought, oh, she's amazing. I want to play clarinet. I want to be as good as her. I got to get next to her. Because I hadn't made up in my mind the way to become great was to be connected with the best. And she hands down was the best. Um, I came to school and I told my friend who sat next to her in this local youth orchestra called the Cadby Symphony Orchestra. I said, do you think I can make BYS? Oh, no, you're not good enough. You haven't been playing long enough. You haven't even been playing a year. What? Did she just tell me I'm not good enough? I went home and practiced like a maniac and then took the audition in the fall and I was sitting right next to her. And we became best friends. And she ended up leaving in my junior year. She was sitting in the Atlanta Symphony Youth Orchestra as well, studying with Ted Gertz, the associate principal what was it, of the ASYO, was like the biggest, most major youth orchestra in the Southeast at the time. They're the youth orchestra to the Atlanta Symphony. The opportunity is you get to work with the principals in that orchestra. I hope I'm not being long with it. This is a fun story to share. But she invited me to one of their concerts before she left. She was moving to Poland. Her family was from Poland, and that year they decided to move back to Poland. She's like this mega genius, super smart. She invited me to her last concert, and I said, I want to study with the principal clarinetist, Laura Ardan. And she was like, well, I don't like working with women too tough. She's amazing, but I'll introduce you to her. So I went to the last concert. They did a side-by-side concert with the ASYO. They did Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony. And after the concert was over, she fanned me in the audience to come to the stage. And I was like, I can't come on the stage. She's like, give me your hand. And she pulled me on stage. She said, this is the coolest thing. So she took me and to have my back to the audience, she said, are you ready? I see her. She turned me around. And that's the first time I got to saw Major Symphony Orchestra Hall from the perspective of the musician with all these seats and these lights. And I was like, I got to have it. I want more. I want more. But she left and the flyer went out to audition for the ASYO. And it had been announced that the Atlanta Symphony Youth Orchestra would be playing the orchestra for the closing ceremonies of the 1996 Centennial Olympic Games. And also part of this, there's what is it called, the Centennial Olympiad. It's like a festival, a series of concerts that they had going on. There'd be a side-by-side concert with the Australia Youth Symphony Orchestra and all this other stuff that we would do. And I asked my band director at the time, a new band director, I was like, I want to try out for the ASYO. He said, are you kidding me? You're not good enough to make that orchestra. You're crazy. Those kids have been doing this their whole lives. You've only been playing for 1 year. And he broke my spirit coming from a band director. That just broke me. You know, if the band director says you can't do it, you can't do it. I came home. I put my instrument case on the table and the flyer was on it. And a couple hours later, my mother came home and my head was hung low. She didn't know why. She said, ooh, what's this? She sits down, she picks up the flyer and she opens the flyer. Oh, Treyon, they're gonna be in the closing ceremonies of the Olympics. Oh, we're doing this. I said, no, I'm not doing it. She said, why not? And I said, well, I'm not good enough. Mr. Russian said I wasn't good enough. I've been playing enough. I'm crazy, this and that and other. My mom said, to hell with Mr. Russian. Who does he think he is? You're gonna get your horn. You're gonna do your lessons with your teachers, and you're gonna practice your butt off, and you're gonna kick some tail and take names later. I was like, yeah, mom's cheerleader. I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. So now I'm fired up. I was taking lessons with 3 teachers at a time, all summer long. Laura Ardan, principal of the ASO. There was a gentleman that defected from Russia. He used to be the principal of the Moscow Symphony Orchestra, Alexander Krakowski. And there was another gentleman named Carl Bevis. He was the very first principal clarinetist to the ASO ever and president emeritus of the Atlanta Federation of Musicians. I was studying with all 3 of them at the same time. People thought I was crazy. But I mean, like, no exaggeration, I practiced a solid 10 to 12 hours a day. I just locked myself down and just disappeared in practice. I went and did the audition, and everybody knew that when you get a letter through the mail, if it's the big envelope, you made it. If it's the little envelope, you didn't make it. And I was riding the bus home one day. I called my little brother and I asked him, I said, did I get an envelope? He said, yeah. I said, is it big or small? He said, it's little. I said, go ahead and open it. He opened the letter. He goes, I said, read it. I said, what does it say? Congratulations, you made it to the callback. So I was like, I got another chance. I lost my mind. So I had 2 more weeks to practice. I went to the callbacks. It was 8 of us. Did the callback, and I just sat there and waited. And 2 people had left. They came. One of the judges came out the rehearsal hall and said, "Okay, we need to do another one." And then they said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where are the other 2? We said they left. They're lost. You don't leave a callback. Everybody knows that. I was like, oh. So when I got called down to the hall, they want you to play the festival with you like this, play. Want you to do the Firebird like this, play. And steps to the Central Asia, play. Play this, play this, play this. Okay, thank you. Then they called us back down about 30 minutes later, second runner up, first runner up, and I'm looking around like, and we'd like to welcome you to the Atlanta Symphony Youth Orchestra, Miss Hall. I screamed at the top of my lungs and took off running. And I ran to call my mom. She was at her job with her friends. She picks up the phone frantic. And I'm like, Mom. She said, what? I said, I made it. She said, he made it. You hear everybody screaming in the background. So that was the beginning of my clarinet career, where I fell head over heels in love with clarinet, and I still love it, and here I am today.
I love that story. Do you mind if I call you TC or Tyon?
TC.
TC. I absolutely love that story, TC. And I hear so many parallels between your story and my story. And what I hear when you tell it is just there was love, joy, and perseverance through the entire thing. And even when faced with, naysayers or people not expecting the most out of you or expecting great things from you, you still maintain high expectations for yourself and had support in your corner when you might have vacillated. So I absolutely love that story. I think it's really heartening. So thank you for sharing
Thank you. Yeah, Mom is my shiro. If it wasn't for Mom, there wouldn't be no TC on clarinet. But thank you. Um, it was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And the story goes on and on and on and on and on. And I could give you a million awesome stories. And I guess we'll learn some more as we go.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And I agree with Burgie. But I hear so much of your own community that supported you, and so I kind of want to jump ahead to the future, and ask you a little bit about the Facebook group, the because that's how I first kind of met you online, was through that community. And I can't remember who invited me to it, but I know that I had been desperately looking for a positive, kind of inclusive clarinet space. And so I was extremely thrilled when I found it. So I wanted to ask just a little bit. It's jumping ahead in your timeline, but in mine, it's the next thing. Can you tell me just a little bit about the group and a little bit about why you founded it or why you began,
Woo!
and a little bit about the values that the group holds, and why do you think it's an important online space?
Um, I was a member of a former group, of another group. And I wasn't very active in it. I was a part of it because I was interested in getting to know people. And one day, it's almost 2 years now, June 6th, it'll be 2 years. Wow, June 6th, it'll be 2 years. My notifications just kept pinging on my Facebook. And I'm like, what's going on? And one of my fellows in the group was infuriated with some comments that had been made relative to the George Floyd situation during the whole in the heat of the Black Lives Matter movement. And I made a comment on my personal wall to some friends about what happened. And I was like, yeah, I had to get out of there. They said, yeah. And one person said, come on, TC, you know you need to start your own group. You can do this. I said, no, 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 no. If you know anything about me and when it comes to community service, I say, like, I'm tired, y'all. If I get in, I'm going all the way in. It's not going to be some little for play group. I'm going to take it to the wall. And everybody was like, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. I was like, oh my God. So then I tagged my friend Crystal Williams and I said, Crystal, I'm going to need your help with this. And she's like, if you do it, I'm in. And I tagged Marcus Moore. He's a Marine, clarinetist in the Marines, and said, if you do this, somebody needs your help. They was like, we got your back. I was like, okay, let me create a group. So I pulled up, I started creating a group, and I said, so what are we gonna name it? What am I gonna name it? And I was like, it's gotta be different. It's gotta be uplifting. It's gotta be positive. People gotta feel comfortable here. It can't be for any particular group. It's gotta be all inclusive. It's gotta be for everybody. Black, white, blue, gray, gay, straight, I don't care. At the end of the day, we're all musicians and it's for the clarinet. Let's do this. So then I started toying around with names. I'm the acronym kid. And I was like, I want nice people. It's like, ooh, nice. That sounds nice. So that's a new international clarinet. New international clarinet. I don't want to call it exposition. That's boring. Expose. That's nice and bougie. We'll call it the expose because someday we can be a magazine. We could be like the Vogue magazine for clarinets, high fashion, and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking off the wall, just totally out there. And I went back and I looked at the new and said, new so boring. Neo means new. Let's call it the Neo International Clarinet Expose. So I started the group and I sent a message to an invite to a couple of friends, and I went to bed. And the next day, I woke up with 350 members. I was like, "Oh my God, this is really taking off!" And it just kept going and going and going. So we're about inclusion, fair representation, positive uplifting, and there's a way to if you want to critique someone, there's a way to do it and be professional and be kind about it at the same time. You don't have to tell someone if they don't sound well, if they don't sound good to you, offer suggestions on how to grow instead of just telling you sound like trash or being dismissive. So the goal was to create a network where we can positively uplift one another and share information and network and just grow from love. That's just the best way to put it. It's all about love, loving yourself and taking the love that you have for self and spreading it and sharing it with others.
So when you, I love that. I love that. There's so many elements to that that I think resonate, particularly with Sarah and myself, um, and just in light of how the world is progressing and growing and changing and evolving. When you created this safe space, I wonder, did you intend for it to be a safe space? Like, because we talk about safe spaces, and oftentimes we think of a safe space that we can create for ourselves. And it sounds to me that when you created this safe space, it wasn't intended to be a safe space solely for you. It was a safe space for the collective. And I want if you could just like talk about that a bit, or how important that value was to you that you created a space that was inclusive for and safe for others as well.
That was paramount for me. It was all about, and it is about everyone else first and me last. Um, like I said, I'm a protective person by nature, and to I don't want to say it's a weakness. It's just who I am. I was the kid that grew up not liking bullies, and I'll just be real candid with you. I'll fight the bully for you if you want. That's just who I was. I didn't like seeing the bully pick on somebody that just had to typically pick on the person that's the sweetest and the kindest with the biggest heart. And like, they don't mess with nobody. You know what? You want to bully somebody, bully me. Try me. Let's get it. Nuck if you buck, whatever you want to call it. We can fight. Meet me outside the 50-yard line, in the parking lot, whatever you want to do. We can go. Yes, I can play clarinet, but I also have hands that work. So I just was always a very protective person. And I know the world that with the condition of the world right that we're in right now, so many people are walking on eggshells. They're afraid to speak. A lot of people feel like they don't have a voice, and it I don't know how I don't know how to project it other than this is just who I am. It's who I've always been. I've always been a fighter for others. Like, true story. When, let's say, about 2014, I took an audition to the Brooklyn Conservatory, and all this is relative. Um, I got in, and I came home to stack up my money to come back. I wanted to finish school. I was like, okay, I got this wrapped up. I'm gonna go here for like a year or two, and I'm gonna go to transfer to Juilliard. Blah, 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 I got this. So I came home to stack up my money, and one day I woke up with the whole right side of my face paralyzed. I had a condition called Bell's palsy. And one of my former students is with me. He's looking at me like I didn't know that. Yeah, while I was working with y'all, my face was paralyzed. But but the whole right side of my face is paralyzed. It's a neurological condition called Bell's palsy. And most people, their face heals within a matter of weeks, months, or even a year. My face was paralyzed for 6 years. I could not play. I went to the greatest depression, and hence the weight gain. In addition to losing the love of my life, I gained a whole lot of weight. But one of my high school teachers, a gentleman named Don Roberts, he's a music coordinator at the Cab County schools. He inspired me to get back teaching privately. And I was like, well, I'm a teacher of example. I got to be able to play. If I can't play, I can't teach. He says, you're a good teacher. You can play, you can teach well through dictation. You don't have to play to be able to do so. I said, well, let me see. So I took on one student, and he ended up making All-State. I was like, well, I guess I am a good teacher. So but in the midst of working with him, my godson was with me, and I kept trying to get him to do something. And he couldn't do it. I was like, God, I wish I could play. And I said, get my horn, I put it together. And I told him, I said, I need you to take my thumb and push the corner of my mouth up so I could get a complete embouchure, because I couldn't wrap my horn around my mouth. And he pushed it up, and I played for him. And his parents were like, oh my God, we didn't know you could play like that. I was like, yeah. Mr. Hall, you need to get back playing. I said, did you all just see I had to have him use his thumb to keep my mouth on my, I can't walk around with somebody holding my face to play. So I couldn't play for 6 years. In year 6, one day I was watching a video. I got tired of people telling me, you need to try, you need to try, you need to try, you need to try. Like, y'all don't understand, I can't play. You don't know what it takes to form an embouchure. The most hurtful part about it was losing my ability to smile, because I love to smile. People take smiling for granted. This is all relative to nice. Um, it hurt not being able to smile, especially when you love your smile. You get in the face and you smile and you look like the Joker. It's a half a snicker. It just was really hurtful. But I was online watching videos, and Ricardo Morales was doing a video on embouchure formation, and he was talking about utilizing a double lip embouchure. I said, wait a minute, I can do that. I think I can do that. I went and got my horn, put it together. Song come. I was like, oh, there's a little air pocket there, but I can work through that. I trained like a maniac, and the muscle tension was horrible, but I pushed myself through it, and I was able to, and I'm back playing again. When I formed N.I.C.E, and while I was playing Sergeant at Arms and at war with said individual, bringing on a whole lot of strife on the other side, while everyone in the group is just living in love and joy and bliss. And I'm over here like, sit down, sit down, please sit down, sit down. I don't want to get on the plane and punch you in the face. Leave these ladies alone, leave them alone, sit down. I ended up having a second bout with Bell's palsy in the first year that I had developed N.I.C.E. And I lost my playing for the whole year. Well, no one, only the people closest to me knew it. But me and Michelle Zukowski got to be really good friends over that first year. And she was online one day working with one of my friends. And a clarinet hit came in for me to try, for one of my kids to try. And while she's working with them on Zoom, I picked up the instrument. I was like, dee-dee-dee. I wonder, dee-dee-dee. Michelle said, "What's that?" I'm like, "I'm playing. Get out of here. You're playing." Oh, lit up. It's totally lit up. So I guess I say all that say, um, the love that I have for the community that we've created is very real. Um, it at one point it was a hindrance to my health, but I was able to fight my way through it and grow from it. That's how important it is to me. Um, One of the biggest issues I've had with the clarinet community growing up is, and I think you all can agree with this, is the clarinets have over time gained this reputation for being snooty or snotty. You know, who do you take from? What kind of instrument do you play on? Kind of reads, do you make your own reads? How long have you been playing? What chair are you? You just the whole snotballness of it all. And it seems like it seemed like the higher up the echelons you got, the less approachable people were. And they don't, they're hard to approach, and some people are hard to approach. And the ones that are hungry to learn or get to know from this person or receive knowledge from, they were unapproachable. It just was so important to me to create a community where people could be approachable and can relate to one another and get past all of that, you know. And I feel like sometimes as musicians, sometimes we forget we're people first. You know, we get so wrapped up in, especially the more the higher you get up in the greater you get in your craft, you get so wrapped up in obtaining this amazing sound and this just stupendous articulation and perfect technique and things of that other, that you just really forget it's the humanity of it all that makes this beautiful. It's the flaws and the imperfections which make it art. And I just thought it was important to find a way to tear down those barriers and get everyone to see each other for who we really are and growing from love. I hope that wasn't a tangent and you received what I was saying.
Yeah. So it's one thing, I think, to, go in hoping to create a community that is positive. But especially on the internet, as many of us know, maintaining something like that is a lot of work. But some of the things that I've, witnessed in the group, that seem to really keep it grounded in the purpose, is that you're organizing a lot of virtual clarinet choirs. I remember there was a few let's have tea together chats where everybody was welcome.
They're coming back. Tea time is coming back. High tea time. Yes, it is.
So why do you think, or do you think that those activities perpetuate the positivity of the space? And why do you think that those things um, continue to help maintain the positivity in that space?
Whew. Well, I think if you've noticed with the virtual projects, The objective is to get one another to think outside of the box when it comes to opportunities, performance opportunities. I love Brahms. I love Weber. I love Mozart. Not a big fan of Stravinsky, depending on what it is. You know, um, I love Saint-Saëns. I love it all. But there's so much that we can do with the clarinet that that we haven't exercised, we haven't tried because we're so wrapped into executing with perfection the status quo, if you will, with the status quo. Um, I think the virtual projects keep people enamored or engaged because you never know what's next. You don't know what's going to be done or what's next, and prayerfully it's a surprise. Like, oh my God, I didn't know that could be done. Oh, that's cool. And the hope is to incite creativity and get other people to thinking about different things that they can do with their instrument. You know, we grew. I know I grew up in a society where the thought process is if you don't make it into a major symphony orchestra, you're subpar. That's so not true. You know, and kind of like with my kids, my students in the Clare Garden. I tell them their band directors pump up Allstate every year, and they're under the impression that if you make Allstate, that means you're a god, and if you don't, you're not good enough. And I try to get them to understand. The first thing I try to get them to understand is just because you made first year Allstate doesn't mean you're the best in the state. It just means you had the best audition that day according to those set of judges. A different set of judges could have thought otherwise. Don't let that be the measuring stick for your potential. You know, um, I just want my hope is to get everyone to see we're all unique, we're all different. No two clarinetists are going to sound the same. Our tones are going to be different because when you think of dance, the definition of tone is attitude. We all have a different attitude in our sound. All of our articulations are different. And we have all been through this. The teacher that tells you that's not the proper way to form embouchure. No, that didn't work for you. This works for me. What works for you works for you, and what works for me works for me. Just trying to get people to think outside of the box and just to try new things. I think that's the biggest thing. And then another thing with the virtual performances is the opportunity to create with people that you don't know and get connected with those people. Like a lot of people have done those performances and have built new relationships with people that they didn't know before then, or even greater. Like for Christmas, we did the Festival Overture with Corrado Giuffretti. Oh my God, there are a lot of people like, I never in a million years thought I'd get to perform with Corrado Giuffretti. And the thing of it is, virtual or not, you did perform with him, and you get to add that to your resume. So there's multiple pros from the experiences. And God willing, when this pandemic comes to a close, because God know I want COVID to die in its sleep. We can get to doing some things face to face and have some real fun. But there's the top secrets. But we're gonna have a ball. When it comes time for us to get together, no one will party like we will, because we're gonna have a good time. I can guarantee you that.
That is brilliant. I look forward to seeing you guys, seeing everyone celebrate that. Um, I love the in your earlier answer how you came to double lip as a way to sort of reimagine your playing, to reawaken your playing, to strengthen your playing, to get back into playing. And as someone who plays double lip regularly and has been told not to play double lip for X, Y, and Z reason, um, I just found that bit really. I would love to just talk to you privately about that. It's very interesting. And then what I heard next was this sort of acknowledgement that in our world, and our as classical musicians, as clarinetists, there's this element where our self-worth becomes aligned with our output on
Mm.
the instrument, our musical output. And I think that we all at some point in our careers suffer from associating where we are now with where we can be, and that becoming a detriment to our self-image that we have for self, right? And so I would love to know, with that in mind, how do you, through your initiatives, work to instill a sense of self-worth beyond people, the instrument, and beyond people's perceived successes or failures on the instrument? And what's the trajectory long term for your projects?
Ooh, so this is where it gets really fun. One ingredient: love. Love, 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 a whole lot of love. I'd like to think about sharing with said person or persons that energy that we all desire. Everybody has the need to feel love. And the goal is for everyone that is a member of this community or part of this community to feel that love and be inspired to spread that love that they feel. Um, you can turn on the TV, you can turn on the radio and get enough of everything else. And I'm not here to tear anyone down. All I know is when it comes to this network, it's all about love. And if you don't have anything nice to say, kick rocks. If you don't have anything positive to deliver, get out. you know, um, the long-term trajectory, I'm about to say a mouthful, but I think it's time to share with the masses what my ultimate goal is. Um, we are currently incorporated as the Neo International Endowment Fund. The objective is hopefully this year to launch the campaign to fund the endowment. The trajectory, my ultimate goal is to develop a facility called the Nice House. Um, when it really hit me is when the rapper DMX died. DMX was a mega talent with a whole lot of energy, a lot of energy. But if you know his story and you know it well, at the end of the day, all he tried to do was use his life and his story to spread love to those who felt unloved, or let people know who felt as though that they didn't have any worth, that they were worthy. When he was a kid, he actually his mom was like running the streets and hustling and things of that nature. He she took him to a foster care facility and she promised him that she would come back and get him, and she never came back and got him. And I learned this story from a rap artist, Roxanne Shante. She was doing an interview talking about it with tears in her eyes. She was choked up talking about this frail little boy being promised by his mother that she would come back to get him, and she didn't come back to get him. And having to grow up in the foster system and learning how to fend for himself, and how in the foster system, when children are sent from home to home, they're given garbage bags and all of their belongings go in these garbage bags. And what that can do to the mind of a child. You already feel worthless because someone has, the parents that loved you or that gave birth to you got rid of you. In that now, as you get comfortable in one space, all your stuff's being thrown in a garbage bag. You already feel like trash and you're being tossed left to right like trash. And then not knowing where you're gonna lay your head, or where you lay your head, you don't know what this person's gonna try to molest you, rape you, beat you, mistreat you, whatever. And it just did the most to me. And it hit me. I was like, okay, that's what we can do. My hope is to develop a facility called the Nice House and to take in foster children and to teach them how to play the clarinet, to give them a homeschool education, to teach them how to play the clarinet into film, and to form a clarinet ensemble with these children, and to give these kids an opportunity to see the world together, and to travel and perform, and to see the world together, and to take my experience as a private instructor with my studio, the Claire Garden. I've been teaching 25 years now, and I'm grateful to say I've never had a kid not get a full scholarship to the school they want to go to. I'm like, I want to take my skill set of coaching kids academically and musically and keeping them on track, making sure their SAT scores, ACT scores are right, and take it to kids who don't have a support system and provide them with the support of Mr. Hall, who my kids call Papa Clarinet, and help them get to build their lives and into society. Um, Strong, ready to rock and roll people who have education. But above all, I don't want these kids to miss out on Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah, whatever it is that they celebrate, to have that opportunity to spend with each other under their own roof, the nice house, with their brothers and sisters and their Papa Clarinets. Um, and above all, it knowing that you got a lot of them that go off to college, and in the summer or whatnot during the holidays, they have nowhere to stay. They got a home, the nice house. So that's when you say trajectory, that's the ultimate goal. And they got a massive network of aunties and uncles in the nice network who are out there ready to rock and support them accordingly. Have these clarinetists with these big names, or fellow clarinetists who are um, professors at other schools to come in and give workshops and clinics to teach them. But also, we've created a network that's readily available to work to help them get into school when it's time to go to school. So I hope you can see the beauty in it, because I can. And that's why I don't get much sleep. And that's why I go as hard as I do with the community. And we're going to get a lot done this year, but that's what it's about. Love. At the end of the day, it starts with love and it ends with love.
That's a huge undertaking and a valiant one, an amazing one. And what I kind of hear from you, just kind of undertones of this, is you mentioned that like your current clarinet studio, which is the Clare Garden, which the name itself is. I mean, you have to love a garden for it to grow. It sounds like, I was going to ask a little bit about your student successes, but what I really want to get at is what is it, this holistic approach that you're kind of taking? Why do you think it's so successful in getting your students where they want to go? And yeah, can you just tell me a little bit about that approach?
I just, I think I put myself in the shoes of the student. And I think about, how we as adults always work. We don't hesitate, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Or I wish somebody would have told me. So I think about all the things that I wish someone would have shared with me. And I don't give any of my students an opportunity to say no one showed them or no one shared with them how to. Um, I ultimately am a surrogate parent, and that's how I look at it as a teacher with my students. I'm like, the adage, what is it takes a village to raise a child. I firmly believe that. And I'm blessed to have a network of parents that know me well enough to know that I had my students' best interests at heart, and I love their kids to just as much as they do. In some cases, maybe even more. Um, it's just very important for me to get personal and take it personal, because I've just so many years, I've had so many experiences, talking to children and just listening to children, and knowing that, how can I say this, that you got children that come from two-parent households, and their parents work themselves to the bone to give their child everything that they want and they need. And they mean well to the child, but in the midst of, while they're going hard in the paint to give the kid everything that they need, that they know that they need, that sometimes as adults we get so wrapped up in adulting that we forgot what it was like to be a kid. And the kid ends up losing their voice. It's like they're talking, but no one's listening to them and they don't hear them. And some kids in that, a lot of kids in their cases, they get lost in the mix. and parents can't understand. I did this and I did that, and I just don't understand how did they turn out. You did everything but listen. So my approach is step one, pay attention and listen. And and it just works for me. I guess I'm the student whisperer. It just really, really works for me. It's just listen. It's not about what you want all the time. What they want is just as important, and it's just so important to listen. I don't know, listen.
I love that. I can hear all of the love and joy you experience from teaching, engaging, uplifting, encouraging, building, nurturing, strengthening your students and beyond and beyond and beyond, like all the vocabulary to describe this love that you have for them. And I'm interested to know, where did the Claire Garden start? Where did the Clarinet Garden
Oh,
start? How did that come about?
um, and I've always loved. I remember the first time. I shouldn't say the first time, but I remember definitely the first time I saw was I love German clarinet music. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Probably the first piece I did was Weber One First Movement. Just love it. And Mozart, I just love it. And remember getting the music and seeing the clarinet was spelled with the letter K. I was like, I like that better than the letter C. It just sounds strong. I just love the way that it sounded. It's just very strong. I love the strength of the letter K. So it just always stuck with me. And then, being young and a kid with a big ego sitting first chair, well, the clarinet is my instrument, and I am the king of this section, and this is my throne, and that's why I say it with the letter K, because I am the king. Just real silly. It just stuck with me. But one day I was playing around with titles about what I want to name my studio, and I knew I wanted to be clarinet something, and the clarinet was going to be with a K. And I don't know how I came upon the word kindergarten, and I know kinder being young and garden mean growth. I thought, oh, I am a stickler for fundamentals. I am horrible when it comes to fundamentals. My kids do not like me in the beginning phases. That when they first start out, they hate my guts. Like, can we please play music? No, you cannot. You can learn these scales, and after you learn these scales and my long tones and all my other sequences and stuff like that, we can move on, because you're not going to make my life hard. You're going to do this my way, so that when I teach you this music and I put it in front of you, it's going to be a walk in the park, because I'm not going to be sitting here one and I tell you I'm not doing that. You're going to do it my way. But I was like, ooh, clarinet garden. Ooh, Clara Garden. That sounds cool. And I was with a friend, my graphic designer. He was like, "You do know that means clear growth." I was like, "I'm done. I'm done." He said it means clear growth. I was like, "Okay, I'm done." It just went from there. And when I started offering private lessons, I would always. This was the egotistical me in my younger days. If you didn't sit first chair in your program, I didn't want to teach you. If you're not serious, leave me alone. Well, my son would love to study with you. Well, when he gets first chair, give me a call, because I don't have time. And then over time, I got off of that and I started working with other kids. And then now I'm working with middle schoolers. And I'm so mad in elementary kids that it took me this long to work with the babies. They're the best ones. They do exactly what you tell them to do and they learn fast. I got these seventh graders right now. Oh, I cannot wait till the summertime when there's no school and we can get into my summer camp. They're gonna come back. I promise you, they're gonna hurt every senior that gets in front of them in the fall. I am so excited about it. But the Claire Garden, that's where the title started, and like I said, it started with me working with the best and the not so best, and then I got off of them being the best, and I just wanted kids who had the attitude to win. Do you want to do this? Do you have the heart to do this? Do I have the parental support behind you to do this? Let's do this. And that's who we are. And they're the hardest working kids that I know. Um, all their band programs. They are these. My kids work their tails off because I push them to work. Them, I push them. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm a pretty tough teacher, but I'm a tough teacher with love. But they're amazing. They're amazing. One of my former students, he's a French horn player. He's to the right of me. His sister studied with me through high school, and she was a mean girl. Woo, the girl was mean. And I had to fight with her like every day. She'd have little attitudes and stuff. And I was like, you do know, at the end of the day, I reign supreme. I win, you lose. You will do what I say and you will grow from it. And that little attitude of yours, it does not serve you. You're going to learn in the long run. Let go of that which does not serve you. And she eventually buckled and folded, and now she's on full scholarship at Jackson State University and rocking and kicking tail. But that's what it is. And then I must be transparent. The Clare Garden, when I started the Clare Garden, it was to cater to my community. I live in a predominantly Black community. Um, in Atlanta, um, I noticed a trend that, or just in Georgia, in GMEA, that when it came to Allstate, you'll see like one or two, three chocolate chips on the stage, and the rest of them are caramel and white chocolate and all the other flavors and whatnot. There's only a handful of them. And the way private instruction worked in Atlanta, it seemed very territorial. Like this region belongs to Donna Her, and this one belongs to Donald Him. And I noticed no one was coming to the schools in the Black community to help the kids. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I got all the experience and then some. Let me cater to my community. So I started working with the schools that nobody wanted to work with, and they ended up being the best. So it's like, who are these Negro children that can play? They're the cleric and they're royalty, and they rock. So that's where it started. It started as it is a predominantly Black founded studio, and the vast majority of my kids go to HBCUs. Um, my kids have been principal clarinetists and section leaders and drum majors at Florida A&M University, Tennessee State University, Jackson State, Southern, Grambling, Howard, Hampton, and I got kids that go to PWIs and conservatories as well. But the vast majority of them go to HBCUs because that's that come from a place that's what they're familiar with, and they give away a lot of money, and I know how to rock them and get them ready to go. But I have my Caucasian babies and my Latino babies and my Asian babies. I teach them all. I love them all, but it started as a Black founded studio, Black owned studio.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that story. I can hear the love and the you you remind me of one of my teachers. It's just like it is all or nothing. And it is all done with love, but it is tough love. So
Yeah, I'm not easy on them. I won't even lie. But the reason why I'm not, and I tell them, I'm not easy on you because the world's gonna be harder on you. And if you can handle me, you can handle the world. Like Mr. Hall told me this was gonna happen. Yes, I've heard worse. I'm with it.
So I wanted to, you've shared so many wonderful ways that you've created positive community, and you've shared a lot of the benefits of what it means to be able to grow in a space where you're loved and you feel comfortable and you have a voice. Do you have any advice for people wanting to build positive communities in their own circles, online or anywhere? What's some advice you'd give them?
In your mission, where your aim is to please, as you form your team, surround yourself by people who are going to tell you the truth even when it hurts. Yes, people are dangerous people. Honest people are the salt of the earth, and you need them. Yes, salt can saturate and dehydrate, but it's also a seasoning when used properly. You need them around you. It's so important to be surrounded by honest people. Some people are of this notion that, oh, we've been friends for 4 years and we've never had an argument. Run. There's something wrong. A healthy relationship comes with a little good and a little bad. You know, there's just no way around it. But if you're really trying to build something great and everlasting, especially a community, a positive community, part of that positivity is sharing the negativity with one another. um you could do this better, you could do that better, I suggest this, I suggest that, I don't like the way that you spoke to me, I don't like the way you did this or that, whatever it is. Surround yourself by people who are going to be honest with you, but who also, while dishing creative criticism, they can take it themselves. I saw something somewhere recently where a guy said, surround yourself by people where when you enter the room, their face lights up. And I think the biggest thing is, and this was real. This was a TikTok clip I saw recently. Um, there was someone, she was giving like a little mini sermon talking about this is a door, and if I put my hand in this door and that door is slammed on my hand, in essence, you're gonna respond to stimuli and you're gonna jump. Every other part of your body is gonna react to it. And basically, when she closed with saying that if you don't got people in your network that don't react the same way your body reacted when your hand got slammed in the door, you're around people, because people that genuinely care about you, they feel what you feel. When you're hurt, they're hurting. When you're happy, you're happy. When they're sad. Is surround yourself by those kind of people when you're considering building your team. And if you can get those basic elements, and but above all, the ultimate element is, in order to open that door, you got to have a key in hand, and it's love. If everyone does not start knowing that love is the key, first love yourself in order to love each other. If they don't start with that key, and that love is the key in hand, you're going nowhere fast. So truth, honesty, integrity, transparency, and love. You got those elements, you're rocking, and you can't be stopped.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, TC. I love all of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope it was
Yeah,
helpful.
this was really wonderful. Thank you for joining us um and just talking about, your experiences and sharing your knowledge and your love. So, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I appreciate you guys. This is dope. I love what you're doing, and I hope you take it to the ceiling with your mission to build and to take the clarinet world higher, because the instrument world needs to put some respect on our name. The clarinet rules supreme, and without us, there is none. Period.
Yeah.
And that's on period.
Thank you again.
Okay, take care.